accidentally became part of a single dad's morning routine, and now his daughter calls me first. My name is Leah. I'm 30. I live outside Seattle, in a neighborhood where it's always damp, and everyone has a dog and a reusable coffee cup. I work in operations for a small tech company, mostly remote, but I go in 2 mornings a week for meetings. And I had zero intention of becoming part of anyone's family anything, especially not a single dad's morning routine. But life doesn't ask for your intention first. It just hands you a moment and watches what you do with it. The single dad in this story is my neighbor. His name is Mason. He's 36. He moved into the townhouse next to mine about 8 months before the first day of school. He was polite, quiet, always looked slightly tired. Not sloppy tired. Parent tired. And his daughter is Ava. Ava is 6. She has big eyes and serious opinions about breakfast cereal. The first morning I noticed them, I was running late because Seattle traffic has this special talent for looking empty until you're in it. I was walking to my car with my laptop bag on my shoulder when I heard a small voice say, "Dad, my zipper is stuck." Mason was crouched in their driveway, trying to fix Ava's backpack zipper while she stood there in a stiff little dress, holding a lunchbox like it was an important briefcase. He was calm, but I could hear the stress in his breathing. And I did what I always do in moments like that. I tried to become invisible, because I hate intruding on parenting. But then, Ava's hair tie snapped. Not dramatic, just popped, and her hair started falling out of the ponytail. She made the face kids make when they're trying not to cry in public. Mason looked up at me and gave me this helpless, polite smile. He didn't ask me for help. He just looked like he was calculating whether he had time to run back inside. I had one hair tie on my wrist. I always keep one. I don't even know why. It's just a habit. So I held it out. "Here," I said, soft voice, "if you want." Mason blinked, surprised, then said, "Thank you." He fixed Ava's ponytail with it like he'd done it 1,000 times, but still felt awkward doing it in front of a stranger. Ava looked at me and said, very serious, "Thanks, I needed my hair to be neat." I smiled. "You're welcome," I said. Then I walked to my car thinking, okay, that's it. Nice moment. Move on. But that's not what happened. Because the next morning, at 7:18 a.m., I opened my front door and saw a sticky note on my doormat. Sticky note. "Thank you for yesterday. Ava said you saved her morning. Mason." I stared at it for a second. Not because it was romantic. Because it was rare. Adults don't thank each other like that anymore. Not in small, specific ways. And I remember thinking, this guy is doing his best. That week, it happened again. Not a hair tie. A forgotten snack. I was backing out of my driveway when I saw Ava running back toward the house, lunchbox swinging. Mason called out, "Ava, we don't have time." Ava yelled, "I forgot my fruit snacks." Mason looked like he was going to say no. Then his face softened, and he started to follow her. I rolled my window down and said, "Hey, I have a spare granola bar." Not in a savior way, just in a this is easier way. Mason paused, then nodded. Ava took the granola bar and said, "Dad." She's like, "Morning magic." Morning magic. I laughed. Mason didn't. He smiled, but it looked like it hurt his heart a little. And that was my first clue. Ava didn't just need snacks. She needed steadiness. Then the routine started without anyone naming it. I'd see them at the same time every morning. Backpack. Lunchbox. Mason's travel mug. Sometimes I'd wave. Sometimes Ava would wave like she was greeting a neighbor and a friend at the same time. Then, one Tuesday, I came outside and saw Mason standing by his car, staring at his phone like it was bad news. Ava was sitting on the front step, swinging her legs, too quiet. Mason looked up at me and said, "Hey, weird question." I paused. "What's up?" I asked. He held up his phone. "I can't access the school app," he said. "It logged me out. I need to see if there's an early release today." Early release. I glanced at Ava. Her face was tight, and I could feel it. Something had already gone wrong. I said, "What school is it?" He told me. I said, "I'm pretty sure it's early release Wednesdays, not Tuesdays." Mason exhaled like his lungs finally remembered how. Then Ava whispered, "Dad, I don't want to be late again." Again. That word mattered. Mason's shoulders dropped. He looked at her with that gentle panic parents get when they realize their kid is carrying anxiety they didn't mean to give them. I kept my voice calm. "Hey," I said to Ava, "what's your teacher's name?" Ava told me. I said, "Okay, here's what we do. We get you there. If you're 5 minutes late, you're still okay. You're not in trouble for traffic." Mason looked at me like I'd just given him permission to breathe. He said, "Thank you." And that was the day it shifted from neighborly to something else. Not romance. Responsibility. Because once a kid starts looking at you for calm, you can't pretend you're just a random person anymore. That afternoon, I got a text from an unknown number. Text 342. "Pimi. Hi, this is Mason. Ava asked if you have extra hair ties." "Sorry," she insisted I ask. I stared at the text and laughed. Then I typed back, me 3:44 p.m. I have a pack. I can leave a couple in a bag on the porch. Mason replied, Mason 3:45 p.m. She'll think you're a superhero. Superhero. That word should have felt cute. Instead, it made my stomach tighten. Because I don't want to be a superhero in a kid's life if I can't be consistent. And I didn't know yet whether Mason wanted consistency or just convenience. Because there's a difference. And I was about to find out the hard way when someone else noticed the routine. The first person to notice wasn't Mason. It was another mom, a woman named Tori from down the block. I saw her at the bus stop one morning, coffee in hand, eyes sharp. Ava was talking to me about how her teacher doesn't like glitter. Mason was checking his phone, probably work. Tori smiled at me and said, So, you're Mason's new girlfriend? I blinked. No, I said. I'm his neighbor. Tori laughed like she didn't believe me. Sure, she said. That's what everyone says. Everyone. That word made my stomach drop. Because routines create stories. And neighborhoods love stories. I kept my voice calm. We're just being friendly, I said. Tori shrugged and looked past me like the conversation was over. But I could feel it. A narrative had started. And when a narrative starts, it finds its way to the person it can hurt. That night, Mason texted me. Text 8:18 p.m. Hey, quick heads up. Someone told me there are rumors. I'm sorry. I didn't want this to get weird. Rumors. I stared at the word. I replied carefully. Me 8:22 p.m. It's okay. I also don't want Ava to feel weird. Let's keep things simple. Mason replied. Mason 8:24 p. Agreed. Thank you for being kind to her. Kind. That was the word he kept using. Not helpful. Not convenient. Kind. The next morning, Ava handed me a drawing at the bus stop. It was a picture of a stick figure dad, a stick figure Ava, and a third stick figure with long hair. She wrote Leah above it. Mason noticed and his face tightened. He crouched beside her. Ava, he said gently, Leah is our neighbor. We don't want to make her feel like she has to be in our family pictures. Ava frowned. But she is, she said. My chest tightened. Because kids tell the truth in the simplest words. Mason looked up at me, embarrassed. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I kept my voice soft. It's okay, I said. It's a cute drawing. But inside, I was thinking, this is getting attached. And attachment is serious. That day, I did another small change. I set boundaries with myself. Not with Mason yet. With me? I told myself. No more special helper stuff without clarity. Because if I'm part of the routine, I need to know what that means. 2 days later, I got my first real receipt moment that changed everything. It wasn't a text. It was an email. Email subject. Class volunteer list updated. From Ava's school. I opened it because I thought it was spam. Then I saw a list of approved volunteers. Mason's name. And Leah. My name. My stomach dropped. Because I did not sign up to be a school volunteer. I didn't even have a kid at that school. I called Mason immediately. He answered fast. Hey, he said. I kept my voice calm. Mason, I said, why is my name on Ava's volunteer list? Silence. Then he said, What? I forwarded the email. He opened it while on the phone. I could hear his breathing change. Oh my God, he whispered. I didn't do that. I asked, Who did? He hesitated. Then he said, My mom. His mom. Of course. In every story like this, there's someone who thinks they're allowed to reorganize other people's lives. Mason's mom, Diane, is the kind of grandmother who calls herself the village, like it's a title. I had met her once. She'd looked me up and down and said, So you live alone. Like that was evidence. Mason continued, voice tight. She keeps trying to find Ava a female role model because Ava's mom isn't consistent. Not consistent. He said it carefully, like he didn't want to trash anyone. I didn't ask questions about Ava's mom, because that's not my lane. But I said, Mason, your mom cannot put my name on school documents. Mason swallowed. I know, he said. I'm going to fix it. Fix it. I'd heard that phrase before in my life. People say, I'll fix it, when they want you to calm down while they avoid conflict. So I said calmly, How? Mason paused. Then he said, I'll call the school right now. I stayed on the phone with him while he did. He called the school office, verified he did not authorize it, and requested my name removed immediately. I heard the admin say, We'll remove it today and add a note that changes must come directly from Mason only. Good. Structure. Then Mason texted me. Text 11:16. A.M. It's removed, I'm sorry. I replied, Me 11:18 A. Thank you. I need clarity moving forward. I care about Ava, but I'm not stepping into paperwork roles. Mason replied, Mason 11:19 A.M. Understood. I don't want you pulled into adult stuff. Adult stuff. That phrase mattered. because it meant he understood the risk. Then, that afternoon, Ava's mom finally entered the story. Not in person, with a text. Text 4:07 p.m. Unknown number. This is Kelsey, Ava's mom. Who are you? My stomach dropped. Because who are you can turn into a fight fast. I replied carefully. Me, 4:10 p.m. Hi, Kelsey. I'm Leah, Mason's neighbor. I see them at the bus stop sometimes. Ava and I chat. That's it. Kelsey replied. Kelsey, 4:12 p.m. Ava said you help her dad. Ava said you're mourning family. Mourning family. I stared at the screen. Because Ava was building language for connection, and adults were about to weaponize it. I didn't reply immediately. I opened morning log, and I wrote down exactly what happened, because I could feel it. This routine was either going to become something healthy, or it was going to get poisoned by adult insecurity, and I wasn't going to let a child take the hit for that. The next morning, Mason approached me at the bus stop with a different posture. Not stressed. Protective. He said quietly, Kelsey texted you. I nodded. Yes, I said. Mason exhaled. I'm sorry, he said. This is why I try to keep things separate. Separate. I nodded. I want separate too, I said. But Ava is a kid. She bonds. That's normal. Mason looked relieved that I wasn't angry. Then he said, can we talk tonight, just to set rules? Rules. Yes. We met in my driveway at 7:30 p.m. because he didn't want to bring this into Ava's earshot. He stood with his hands in his hoodie pocket like a guy trying to stay calm. I don't want you dragged into anything, he said. I never meant for people to think. I cut in gently. I know, I said, but we need clarity. Mason nodded. Then he said something that surprised me. I've been lonely, he admitted. And the routine, it's not just helpful. It's been healing for Ava, and for me. Healing. That word made my chest tighten. Because it was honest. And dangerous. Because when you name a good thing, it suddenly has stakes. I kept my voice calm. Okay, I said. Then we protect it. We agreed on rules. I am not a school contact. No one uses my name in school forms, medical portals, or pickup lists. If Kelsey asks questions, Mason answers, not Ava. We don't label me to Ava as anything other than Leah, our neighbor, until adults are aligned. If the routine continues, it continues because it's healthy, not because it's convenient. Mason nodded through all of it. Then he said, thank you. Then he added quietly, Ava looks for you now. That sentence hit. Because I've had people look for me before in my life. But not a kid. Not in that innocent, routine way. Then the first real morning routine crisis happened. It was a Thursday. Raining hard. Ava came out without her backpack. Mason asked, where's your backpack? Ava froze, then started crying. Mason's face tightened. Okay, he said. Okay. Breathe. Ava sobbed. It's at Mom's. At Mom's. Meaning the day was already broken? Mason looked like he wanted to slam his head into the car. And I watched him for 1 second. Then I did what you do when you've chosen to be kind. I asked, what does she need for today? Mason whispered, her reading log, her lunch card, her folder. I nodded. Go, I said. Get her to school. I can drop the folder later if you tell me what classroom. Mason blinked. You'd do that? He asked. I nodded. Yes, I said, but this is the last system thing I do without a written note. Written note. Receipt. Because I wasn't going to be painted as sneaking around to school. Mason texted me the teacher's name and the office instructions. Text 726A, Miss Patel, front office, can you just drop the envelope? I replied, me, 727. A, me. Yes, I'll label it. I drove to the school later with a sealed envelope that said, to Miss Patel, from Mason, emergency forgotten materials. I handed it to the office and left. No lingering. No weirdness. At 10:14 a.m., my phone buzzed. Text from Kelsey. So, you're dropping stuff at my kid's school now. My stomach dropped. Because of course she'd find out. I replied calmly, me 1017. A me. Mason asked me to help one time because Ava forgot materials. I left it at the office. That's all. Kelsey replied. Kelsey 1019 aim. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. I stared at the words and felt anger rise. Then I felt something else. Understanding. Kelsey wasn't mad because of me. She was mad because the routine made her feel replaceable. But that still didn't make it okay to target me. So I did the calm thing. I forwarded the screenshots to Mason. No commentary. Just the texts. Mason replied. Mason 1024. I'll handle this. Handle. That phrase again. I didn't want handle. I wanted boundaries. So I replied, me 1026. I'm stepping back until things calm down. I'm not feeding drama. Mason called immediately. I didn't answer. I texted, me 1028. Amy, Text is fine, Mason replied. Mason. I understand. I'm sorry. Then something happened that made my stomach drop again. An email arrived from the school. Email subject. Approved pickup list update. I opened it. My name was on it again. Added. Again. I felt cold. Because we just removed it. Which meant someone was doing it intentionally. Mason texted me at the exact same time. Mason 11-2. Mem. My mom did it again. Again. So it wasn't an accident. It was a power move. A grandmother trying to create a new mom role. A bio mom feeling threatened. A single dad caught in the middle. And me, the accidental third point, getting pulled into the triangle. Here's what I should have noticed earlier. When you become part of someone's routine, you don't just inherit warm moments. You inherit the politics. And the next step wasn't a cute morning at the bus stop. It was a serious conversation with boundaries and consequences. Mason met me outside my house that night with a printed page in his hand. He didn't smile. He looked embarrassed and angry at the same time. I printed the school email, he said. I want you to see it. I nodded, because this was exactly what I needed. Receipts, not vibes. He held the paper out. Pickup list update, it said. Added, Leah. Request her email. Diane. His mom. Mason's jaw tightened. I told her not to, he said. She did it anyway. I took a breath. Then you need to remove her access, I said. Mason swallowed. I know, he said, but she helps with childcare. There it was. The reason people tolerate bad behavior. Convenience. I kept my voice calm. Mason, I said, help that comes with control is not help. Mason nodded slowly. Then he said, can you come with me to a meeting tomorrow? With the school, so they hear it from all of us. I paused. School meeting. That's serious. I said yes, but I'm not talking as a parent. I'm talking as a neighbor whose name is being used without consent. Mason nodded. Exactly, he said. Next morning, 9 a.m., we met with the school administrator and counselor. Kelsey was there too. She walked in, eyes sharp, posture tense. Diane, the grandmother, tried to come too. The admin stopped her at the door. Only parents or guardians, the admin said. Diane huffed, offended, and waited in the hallway like she was a victim. Inside the office, Mason spoke first. My mother added Leah to the pickup list without permission, he said. This must stop. Kelsey snapped, why is Leah even involved? I kept my voice calm. I'm not involved in custody, I said. I'm involved in mornings, by accident, and I don't want my name in school systems. Kelsey stared at me, surprised by how calm I was. Then she said, Ava talks about you nonstop. I nodded. I care about Ava, I said, but I'm not replacing anyone. The counselor nodded. Then she asked Mason, what do you want your co-parenting boundaries to be? Mason took a breath. All changes must come from me or Kelsey only, he said. No third party, no grandmother. The admin typed it in and added a password. Password confirmed. Then the admin said something that made Kelsey's face tighten. We will document any future attempts as interference, she said. Interference. That word landed, because now it was official. Diane's help was now being labeled as what it was. After the meeting, Diane cornered me in the hallway. She smiled sweetly. You're good with Ava, she said. That's rare. Don't waste it. I kept my voice calm. Diane, I said, please stop using my name. Her smile tightened. I'm just trying to help my son, she said. I nodded. Help him by respecting his rules, I replied. Diane's eyes flashed. Then she leaned in and said, Lo, if you walk away, Ava will be devastated. There it was. Emotional blackmail. Using a child's attachment as leverage. I felt my stomach go cold. I took a breath. I'm not walking away, I said, but I'm not being manipulated either. Diane's smile snapped. She walked away muttering, Women these days. That afternoon, Kelsey texted me. Text 2:16 p.m. I don't like this, but thank you for not making Ava choose. I stared at it, because that was the first time Kelsey sounded like a co-parent, not a threat. I replied, Me, 2:18 p.m. I don't want Ava in the middle, ever. Then Mason texted, Mason 2:22 p.m. Thank you. Seriously, Ava had a good day. Good day. That's what this was always about. Not adults winning. A kid having a good day. That night, I thought we'd stabilized. Then my phone buzzed at 9:41 p.m. Unknown number. Voicemail summary. This is Diane. Stay away from my son. You're not family. My stomach dropped, because Diane had now escalated from paperwork to harassment. I didn't reply. I saved it. Then I made another small change. I told Mason. Mason responded in 1 minute. Mason, I'm sorry. I'm handling it. And for the first time, handling it didn't sound like smoothing. It sounded like protecting. Because the next morning, Mason told me he'd set a boundary with his mother that would change everything. No more childcare. No more access. No more help. And that meant we were about to learn whether this routine was truly sustainable without Diane. Because when the convenience disappears, people either grow up or they collapse. The first morning without Diane, Mason looked exhausted. Not panicked. Determined. Ava came out with her backpack, hair slightly messy, shoes on the wrong feet. Mason laughed softly, fixed her shoes, and said, "We're learning." Ava smiled and said, "I like learning." And I felt my chest tighten. Because that's what kids do. They adapt. Adults are the ones who cling to roles. That week, Mason asked me something directly for the first time. Not through Ava. Not through routine. He said, "Leah, can we talk about what this is?" What this is? I took a breath. "I care about Ava," I said. "I care about you. But I'm not stepping into labels fast. I want slow and healthy." Mason nodded. "Same," he said. Then he surprised me. He said, "I'm not asking you to be a mom. I'm asking you to be in our life in a way that feels respectful to you." Respectful. That word mattered. Because it meant he didn't want to trap me. He wanted consent. Final update? A few months later, Mason and I started dating. Quietly. No big announcement. No bonus mom posts. Just time. We told Ava together, carefully. We said, "Leah is someone we care about, and she'll be around more." Ava nodded and said, "Okay." Then she asked, "Can Leah still be morning magic?" I laughed. Mason laughed. And I said, "I can be morning magic sometimes." Sometimes? Because consistency matters, but pressure destroys it. Kelsey stayed in the picture. We kept co-parenting clean. School passwords stayed. Pickup lists stayed correct. Diane didn't get access again. Not because we wanted revenge, because she showed she couldn't be trusted with boundaries. And the best part is simple. Mornings became calmer. Not perfect, but calm. And I learned something I didn't expect. Sometimes, the most powerful relationship you build isn't built through grand gestures. It's built through a hair tie, a granola bar, a calm voice at a bus stop. That's why the routine mattered. Not because it was cute, because it was safe. Here's what we learned from this story. First, routines build trust faster than big speeches, but only if boundaries protect the routine. Second, kids should never be recruited into adult secrets or adult labels. Keep it simple. Keep it honest. Third, if someone keeps helping by using your name in systems, that's not help. That's control. Fourth, the healthiest blended family starts with respect between adults, not pressure on a child. And finally, if you step into a kid's life, do it with clarity and consent. That's how you keep a good thing safe. If you like calm, realistic, long story times with receipts, clear timelines, and real closure, subscribe to the channel. That's what we do here. What would you have done first? Step back completely, or set boundaries and protect the routine?